Does your naturally curly or wavy hair turn out differently every single time that you wash and style it? Well, you're not alone. This is super common and normal. However, there are some things you can do to help increase the consistency and get similar results every time that you style your curls. If you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Gina, and here I make videos all about naturally curly hair. I love simplifying things and really helping you problem solve with your curls. Make sure you stay tuned because I'm going to be launching a new digital resource that you can download that's going to help increase your consistency and really help you pinpoint exactly what works for your curls and what doesn't. So let's go ahead and get started. So before we get started with my wash day routine, let's talk about some of the reasons why naturally curly and wavy hair is so inconsistent with your wash day results and also your refresh results. I'm currently on day 4 or day 5 hair and I have not refreshed, and my hair looks so much different now than it did on wash day. So why is that? Naturally curly and wavy hair is very versatile. It's going to change in shape and size, and it's very malleable. You can really manipulate the appearance of your curly and wavy hair, which is great if you like to switch up your look. And it's also very common to have multiple different porosities and textures and curl patterns all on one head. I have multiple different curl patterns on my head. I can count maybe 3 or 4 of them. I have different textures, definitely different porosities because the top section is a lot more damaged than the lower section. So it's going to naturally change, especially if I style my hair exactly the same way on my entire head. Porosity plays a huge part in how consistent your results are. The more porous that your hair is, the more it can be impacted by the environment around it. And the more damaged your hair is, the more porous it's going to be. Higher porosity hair is going to be more sensitive to the weather. So the more porous your hair is, it's more likely to absorb moisture from the air, and it's also more likely to have moisture evaporate in very dry climates. Essentially, our hair is always trying to maintain equilibrium with the environment around it, which is always changing unless if you're fortunate enough to live in a very mild climate like California, where you have the same weather and the same level of moisture in the air all the time. Another reason our hair is so inconsistent is it's very fragile, which hair in general is very fragile, but naturally curly hair is especially very fragile. Any little bit of friction is going to disturb our curl pattern and also create frizz. So when we're sleeping on it, that's friction, that creates frizz. So that's why my hair is frizzy now 5 days after sleeping on it compared to wash day. And naturally curly hair can also break very easily, especially if you have fine textured hair or damaged hair. Another reason that naturally curly hair and wavy hair is very inconsistent is we style our hair with our hands or brushes versus someone with straight hair that might use heat tools, and that's naturally going to result in more variation in your results because you're using your hand and you're going to do different techniques. You're not going to take the exact same brush strokes every single time that you style your hair. We also rely on products to change the appearance of our hair, so products help us create definition, tame frizz, create volume, versus people with straight hair who might use heat tools to change or alter the appearance of our hair. So there's a lot more variation when you're using styling techniques and products and just hoping it turns out good versus someone with straight hair who gets pretty much the same result as long as they use those heat styling tools in the same way. The #1 way to improve your curly hair's consistency in your wash days is to track your results and plan out your wash days, which brings me to my exciting announcement that I am launching a curly hair tracker and journal spreadsheet. So this is a downloadable spreadsheet that you guys can grab and actually use it to track your results and pattern out any trends to really see what did you do on that particular wash day that really made a difference, to better diagnose your hair and really analyze your results by looking back at that past data. So if you're a curly hair nerd like me and you love looking at data, this is definitely going to be for you. It's also really great if you're a beginner as you're just learning how to build out your wash day routine and you're confused on what to do on the next wash day based on how your hair currently is. This will help you with that. And then also if you are currently transitioning and you want to track your progress, you can do that with this as well. So this is not your typical basic spreadsheet template that anyone can create. This is a guided template. So you will actually have a series of questions that you can answer to assess your hair's needs before wash day, which is what we're about to do here with my hair before I wash. And then you can also track the products that you're using, so you can pre-plan out the products that you're going to use based on those hair's needs. And then you can also make notes on if you liked products. And then there's a series of questions that helps you figure out your results and see what you liked about your hair, and you can mark if you even liked your hair that day or not. So that way you can look back at past wash days and see all of the times that I liked my results, this is exactly what I did, and identify those patterns. So that was my main goal with this, to be able to really see the difference in certain products, certain styling techniques, and other things that you do in your routine that make the biggest difference difference and if you like those results or not. So you can track each wash day and refresh day. If you even like that particular product, you can sort of do a product review and have a photo of your hair. This is gonna help you build out your perfect routine and your schedule, so that way you can just repeat it and have those more consistent results. And aside from being a planner and journal, you also get a guide that I put together that lists exactly what you need to know about all of your hair's characteristics in a simplified way. So I break down the meaning of all of those terms that are in here, which will also help you choose the right option. So it's not just a blank template that you have to figure out what to put in. You get a drop down on each item, so that way you can pick what you need for your hair and help figure out your hair's characteristics. So it's really hard to explain without actually showing you. So let's plan out what my hair needs for this wash day together. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go over to April 10th because that's today's date. There is a column for each date. You can always hide the past ones so that way it doesn't get too cluttered. So the first question is, how does your hair feel prior to washing? And the reason I included this is going to help you determine what to do next in your hair. So the first question has to do with moisture level, and you can always visit the labels tab to actually see explanations for all of these and a series of questions to figure out, well, what is my moisture level? So currently right now, I feel like my hair is pretty balanced. I actually use the new Garnier Fructis hair filler line, which is like a moisture bonding type of line. And my hair definitely feels very moisturized still. I currently don't have any buildup. My scalp also feels normal. It's not too dry or anything. My elasticity, which you can learn more about what this is in the guide under the labels section, it feels normal right now. Tangles is actually pretty low. These products that I have in my hair right now have a lot of slip that lasts in my hair, so I actually don't really have any tangles, which is great. I actually do have a lot of frizz today, and that is because the products that I used previously didn't provide me enough hold. So if I had tracked my wash day previously, so if I went back and had all of that already logged, I could see that I said after my last wash day in the results section that I didn't have enough hold, and that would make sense why today starting out I have high frizz. I actually have high volume too because I don't have enough hold in my hair, so that's why I have a lot of volume, because there's not that control going on. I actually have quite a bit of clumps, but I wouldn't say it's overly clumped, so I'm gonna go with normal. And then under curl bounce, it's about normal, so it's not super shrunken up and it's also not really elongated and limp feeling. So then you can also track your sleep protection, and then we can pre-plan out the products. So I'm just gonna fill in that I slept with a satin and silk pillowcase, and I also wore my bonnet to sleep because, as I mentioned, that does have an impact on your hair with that friction at night. So for the product section, I'm gonna list the brand and the product name. I definitely recommend keeping track of this, so that way you'll actually have a database of all of the products that you've used before. So for my pre-shampoo treatment, I'm going to be using this new one from Briogeo. And then for my shampoo and conditioner, I'm using a new one from V&Co. This is their wavy line. I've already used the curly line before, which you can see in an Instagram reel on my page, my thoughts on that. But this is a brand new, really affordable brand at Walmart and Target. So I'm just gonna put V&Co. And I don't think I'm going to deep condition today because looking back at my hair assessment for today, I don't feel like I have very dry hair. It feels very balanced. So we're going to skip over deep conditioner. I'm not gonna use a leave-in conditioner. I'm actually going to be using a new product from Garnier, actually the one that I used in my previous routine, the Hair Filler Moisture Repair Gel Cream. So we're going to fill that in. And for the gel, I think I'm going to go with the Curls Botanical Gel. I can't remember the exact name, I need to look, but this, I wanted to just keep it drugstore themed for today, but I do need to check and make sure that these products mix well together if I'm going to choose products from different brands or different lines. And then you can also track your refresh days as well. So that's why there's some rows here for refreshing sprays and dry shampoos and whatnot. This one here, how many of your products contained protein? So all you need to do for that is just take a look at your product labels and look for the word protein, and I guide you through that in the actual spreadsheet under the labels tab, but it's good to just make sure that you're not overdoing it or underdoing it depending on your hair's needs. So I will just kind of count and keep track of how many I used this wash day. So that's it for the pre-wash day assessment. Let's go ahead and get started with the actual wash day routine, and let's get into more tips for increasing your consistency because there's a lot more things you can try. First, starting out with my pre-shampoo oil. So as I mentioned, this is the Briogeo Scalp Revival one. This is a rosemary pre-wash hair oil that you can actually use on your scalp or on your hair. I don't really like putting oils on my scalp. I don't find I need it, so I just use this mainly on the links of my hair, but you could use it on your scalp too. So I'm just gonna go in with a couple of drops. But let's talk about the second way that you can improve your hair's consistency, and that is by improving your hair's health. So as we talked about in one of the main causes of inconsistency, that is your hair being more porous. So it's definitely more susceptible to getting affected by the environment around it. And the more damaged your hair is, the more porous it is. So if you improve the health of your hair, you're going to improve its resilience. The first thing that you're gonna wanna do is stop using any heat tools. So if you're currently switching back and forth from using heat tools to wearing your hair natural, you're really delaying your hair's recovery, because every time that you straighten it, you are then weakening the hair, and so it's just getting worse. You're just kind of delaying that progress if you're someone that is transitioning and trying to get your natural curls back. However, once your hair is healthy and you have fully grown out all of that damage, then you might consider using heat tools every once in a while, or straightening. I know people do still do that and they still have healthy hair, but they are starting with healthy hair versus starting with damaged hair. If your hair is bleached, highlighted, or if you've used hair dye, all of that increases your hair's porosity, so it's going to make it more sensitive to the environment. So once you stop doing all of the damaging things, you have to then grow out your hair, because there's no way to actually completely fix damage. You have to grow it out, and then you have to maintain the hair that's still on your head that you're growing out, so that way you don't make it worse and you can manage your hair as it does grow out. You can get frequent trims. This definitely helps, and that's the method I took. Or if you're brave enough to do a big chop, that's really the best solution, because then you can just start fresh. Another way to maintain the health of the existing hair on your head is to use bond repair treatments and products with proteins. Products with proteins are gonna help strengthen and moisturize the hair. And then bond building products actually help to repair the hair on a molecular level. But again, the only real fix is to actually get that damage cut off. So bond repair treatments help prevent further breakage and do help to repair the bonds in your hair, but the real fix is really growing it out. And when it comes to heat, I do still use a diffuser, but there's just safer ways to diffuse versus using like a full-on blow dryer and a hair straightener. Diffusing is not nearly as damaging. And you also wanna make sure that you're using a heat protectant. I always use a heat protectant before I diffuse, and that makes a big difference. You wanna avoid harsh detangling, which is why you see me using an oil right now to detangle with my fingers. I don't really ever detangle with a brush. That's just a recipe for breakage. You wanna really treat your hair like it's very fragile, because it is very fragile, especially if it's damaged. That's why I like to detangle dry, because then I can feel every single little knot and I can just separate it, versus just ripping through it and then you don't even know that you're breaking your hair. You also might want to avoid excessive brush styling. You guys know I love to brush style, but it's definitely not the healthiest thing for your hair, so you might want to avoid it or just minimize it if you do have a lot of damage or very fragile hair. Now that my hair is nice and detangled, I'm ready to go shampoo and condition my hair. I will list all of these products down below. Make sure you stay tuned for our next couple of tips, because we're going to talk about how to adjust your routine based on your hair's needs as I'm styling my hair. My hair is now freshly washed, and we're going to move on to number 3, which is to tweak your routine based on your hair's needs. So you saw me kind of log how my hair was looking and feeling before wash day, and that helped me really determine the products. So I just wanted to share some examples of how I might tweak my routine. I'm just going in with my Curlsmith Miracle Shield Heat Protectant. Other than this and the pre-shampoo oil, I'm mostly using all drugstore products today. So some ways in which I might tweak my routine. If I felt like my hair had a lot of buildup, I would use a clarifying shampoo that wash day. That's sort of like the easiest one. If my hair was feeling dry, I would deep condition, or I would make sure that I'm using a conditioner that definitely provides my hair with enough moisture and slip. If your hair is lacking bounce back, like when you pull on it or you straighten out one of your curls, it doesn't really spring back up, or you're just not noticing the same curl pattern, that might mean that you need some protein. And that's where it helps to really look at your labels and sort of plan out the products that you're going to use, because you don't want to overdo it and use too much either, but you also might need to add some in if your hair is just lacking bounce. That's usually when you need to clarify, deep condition with something very lightweight, and maybe use a deep conditioner that has some protein in it, or some stylers that have protein. If my hair is feeling super brittle and I notice it's just like snapping very easily, or it just feels kind of wiry, then I might need to make sure that I'm using a protein-free deep conditioner that is really rich in oils and moisturizing ingredients. So that is why tracking all of this makes it so helpful. Number 4 is to use the right products for your hair's needs consistently. You don't have to have a ton of products on hand. You can definitely use the same styling products each time. I know shopping for products can be so difficult, and that's why I created the shop page on my blog, where there's a ton of different filters, so that way you can filter by things like contains protein or protein free, or it contains aloe. So today I'm using that Garnier cream gel that I mentioned. This is basically just a curl cream. I didn't really get much hold at all, as you could see from my previous results. So I'm just going in with maybe about a nickel size amount. Pre-planning your products is going to also help to make sure that your products are compatible, because sometimes creams and gels or leave-ins and gels and other things don't mix well together, and you need to test that first. So that's why you don't want to not plan and then maybe go put a curl cream in your hair and then be looking for a gel and nothing mixes well and you don't have a gel on hand that you can use with that new curl cream that you decided to try. So pre-planning really helps. Another way to ensure that you are going to get more consistent results, especially when you're testing new products, is to make sure that you're trying a product more than once. You want to use products different ways. You cannot test out a product one time and it not work for you and you just rule it out completely. You have to be patient and try it a different way next time. Maybe adjust the amount of water that you use in your hair, which is also something that you can track in the tracker. Or maybe adjust how much product that you used. Or maybe you want to try out a different styling technique. You would be surprised the difference that techniques really make in your results. So I could use the exact same product and apply it 2 different ways and my hair will look completely different. When you are testing out new products, it's really trial and error, but you want to keep in mind that you only want to have one variable at a time. Curly hair really is like a science experiment, so you only want to change one thing at a time and then document those results. So as I mentioned, changing just the amount of water in your hair. And then the next wash day, if you still didn't like it, adjust the amount of cream that you used underneath, something like that. But keeping it to one thing so that way you can actually see if the product is just not right for you or if maybe you just need to tweak something else. So I'm going to section off my hair and then apply my gel. I know that sectioning usually gives me good results. That is sort of like a styling technique that you can also log in the tracker. And last time that I used this Garnier cream, I did section my hair when I styled and I liked my results. Also, I posted a video recently detailing how I section. So if that is something that you're struggling with, I'll have that link down below. So the previous wash day when I used just the Garnier cream, I didn't have enough hold and I had a lot of frizz. So that told me I needed to add a gel this time. So now I'm gonna test it with the gel. So this is my second time using the cream and I wanna see how my results look with the gel. Unfortunately, there's not a gel in this line and I don't have a Garnier gel on hand to use, so I'm going with this Curls. This is the Goddess Curls Botanical Gel. I've used this before, I really like it. It's fairly lightweight and it does contain those humidity blocking ingredients that I really like. So I actually want to maintain more fullness and volume because I really liked that about the last time I used this, so I'm not gonna use too much. The more gel that you use, the more hold you're going to get and the more frizz protection, but that's probably going to reduce the fullness in your hair and I want to still maintain that fullness. So that's something that I could also track. In the spreadsheet, I could look back and see like I had a lot of volume last time and I didn't use a gel. So that tells me that's why I had a lot of volume. The 5th way to improve your consistency is to use the same styling techniques consistently. So once you find a styling technique that works for you, like brush styling, like I'm doing right now, then do that every single wash day if you want to maintain the same result. If you want to change your results, tweak that styling routine, try something else and see the difference that your hair makes. Make sure you're taking those photos that I mentioned that you can add to the spreadsheet to really see the difference in your results. And I would say styling techniques is probably the biggest thing that makes a difference in how your hair turns out, because as I mentioned, I could use the same products different ways and it's going to look totally different. I could use a gel that totally sucks, but use the brush styling technique and still make my curls look pretty good. They just might not last if the gel isn't good. And in the tracker document, I do list out some different styling techniques that are pretty common, but there's lots of different ones, so you can always add your own as well. Understanding which styling techniques work for your hair's needs is also really helpful. For example, I have different curl patterns and different porosities on my head, so my lower section is fairly healthy and it actually clumps really good. It almost overly clumps, so I don't even really need to be brush styling the lower half. But once I get to the top face framing pieces, those really do need help clumping. They tend to be very stringy, so I do have to brush style that area. Also, this brush that I'm using, this is the Curl Keeper Flexi brush. This is actually meant to be a detangling brush, but it's really the most gentle brush that you can use on your hair. So if you are someone who does have very fragile hair, or maybe you're still transitioning and it's damaged, you might want to try using this even to style. It basically doesn't really provide any tension at all because it is so flexible. That's the point, is that it doesn't give tension to your hair, but you can apply a little bit of tension by sort of pressing it and the way that you wrap it. So you'll see as I'm styling, I'm still able to actually style with this brush. You can really use any brush. It's just not technically meant for styling, but it's the most gentle in the hair, so sometimes I do use it because I'm really trying to minimize that damage that can occur from brush styling with too much tension. It also helps to have more hair in the brush when you are using a very flexible brush like this, or else there'll just be no tension if you pick up really small sections. So it's also nice because I can do kind of a quick styling method. I'm actually placing my hand on here just to give that tension and to help clump the curls. The sixth way to improve your hair's consistency is to make sure you're protecting your hair at night. You don't want to ruin all of that work that you put in on wash day by sleeping on your hair, because as we talked about in the beginning, our hair can get ruined by friction against it, rubbing against your pillow. So if you're not already sleeping with a satin or silk pillowcase, that's really essential because cotton creates so much friction and can really ruin your curls. And then your results are gonna look much different the next day because it ruined your curls from wash day. Another way to be really consistent with your sleep protection is incorporating it into your nighttime routine with that habit stack. So a lot of us already have the habit of doing our nighttime skincare routine, and that's when you can think about your sleep protection for your hair. So I like to wear a silk or a satin bonnet when I'm sleeping, so that keeps my curls up off my neck and keeps them really protected. And it's also a great way to get your hair out of your face. So what I like to do is I will put my hair up in my bonnet first before I do my nighttime skincare routine, and that doubles as a way to protect my hair instead of using like a headband or a scrunchie, which can really stretch out your curls or dent your curls. You don't want to ruin all of that work that you put in on wash day, so sleep protection is really key to get consistent results after wash day and throughout the week. Now I'm finished diffusing and I'm ready to kind of fluff and scrunch out the crunch. I don't really have much of a cast at all though, so there's not a ton to scrunch out, but I do want to fluff so that way it's bigger. And let's get into number 7, with how to improve consistency, and that is to protect your hair as best you can from the elements and the environment. This is really difficult because you can't control the environment or how your hair responds. However, you can sort of do different things and use different products that help to protect it a little bit. Now you can't completely waterproof your hair, unfortunately. So when it comes to humidity, you want to look for products that contain polyquats. That's why I have that filter on the shop page on my blog, because that's something you'll want to look for in your gel or your mousse if you do live in a humid environment. Also using stronger hold. I also have filters on there for hold level. And then also silicones can help you out in humidity. They can sort of prevent a ton of moisture from the air from absorbing. And then also finishing oils can help a little bit, but I don't like relying on oils to protect from humidity. I prefer polyquats, and you might want to add in like a hairspray or something like that if you are dealing with humidity. When it comes to dealing with dry climates, you might want to use more moisture-rich products, film-forming humectants, and also oils that can help to lock moisture into your hair. So maybe you would want to incorporate a finishing serum. I don't find that I need one. I don't think the humidity here is too bad today. I feel like it's pretty mild. It usually is in the spring and the fall here. I'm in Virginia, but we definitely have very humid days. We also have dry days in the winter. We get all kinds of different weather here. And when it comes to wind, you might want to protect your hair with a scarf, like a really cute silk or satin scarf. You could always tie your hair up in a hairstyle with that, or just wear a hood if you are wearing a jacket. That's one of my favorite ways. Like if I'm gonna be going in and out of stores, running errands, I'll just put my hood up if it's super windy, or I just don't worry about it. Honestly, most of the time I don't worry about it. It is what it is. I might have to do more refreshing if it's super windy or super dry one day, and that's okay. Number 8 is to embrace the inconsistency. Naturally curly and wavy hair is just not going to be consistent all the time, so you really have to embrace the differences in your hair, especially if you're someone who has wavy or loose hair. You can really rock different curl patterns throughout the week because your hair probably loosens up throughout the week, so you get a different look each day. I just wanted to give you guys the reminder that it's totally normal and common. Doesn't mean that there's something wrong with your hair, unless if you are dealing with a lot of damage. That's where, you know, as your hair's health improves, you will get more consistent results. Your hair is never gonna look the the same every single wash day, unless you're really lucky. What do y'all think of these wash day results? I feel like I have a lot of volume. I have a little bit more frizz than I thought that I would with using a gel. I definitely have less hold than when I usually use that Curls gel. Typically I'll go with the Curls cream underneath, and I have less frizz in my hair. So I feel like the Garnier cream definitely worked with the gel, but I have more frizz today than I usually do. And maybe that's because I used a little bit less of the Curls gel than I usually do, because I was really trying to maintain volume. But that's the sort of thing that you can really see by testing products more than once and then looking back at your results if you're tracking them with a spreadsheet, so that way you can see, well, what did I do last time when I had less frizz when I use this curl gel? So that's definitely how I can really diagnose and just figure out what to do next when I'm using this and tweak my routine. So if I were to finish out the spreadsheet for today's wash day, I would finish filling in the techniques that I ended up using and then also what I think of my results. So there's a couple more questions that help you sort of assess your hair's results, so that way you can really look back at those results in the future. So I'm gonna have the link down below where you can download the hair tracker if you're interested in getting it. This is a paid product. So previously I had some freebies and stuff. I'm definitely still going to be offering some freebies, but I did want to add in some paid products that have a little bit more value in them. Well, actually a lot more value in them. And this is something too that you can use over and over. So this isn't your typical yearly planner that's only unique to that year. This is something that you will have lifetime access to that you can repurpose. So it's not unique to 2024. You can definitely reuse it. And when you purchase it, you can get access to the future updated versions. So I might tweak it here and there, and especially incorporate some feedback that I might get from you guys. So you will always get access to the updated file. So it really is a lifetime access. And again, it's not just the template, it does have the guide in there as well. So you are getting that educational content along with it. So I'm really excited to be putting this out. This is my first paid product and I would love to create more of them. So I would love to take your requests and just any feedback you have. Definitely let me know if there's anything that I missed in this tracker that you would like to see in updated versions, or if it just doesn't work for you for some reason. Definitely let me know and I will be sure to incorporate it. If you want more help with rotating your wash days, you can check out the video that I did a while back all about how I rotate my wash days and how I build a wash day routine. That's centered more around the wash day calendar that I have. That is a freebie that you can download. I will definitely have the link for that as well in the description box below, but you can watch the video to see how I incorporate that structure of rotating your wash days. I will have that video linked right here on the screen and I will talk to you over there. Bye everyone.